At first glance, a headline like this seems to capture a devastating end, but the real story of Dick York is far more nuanced and, in some ways, more meaningful than the exaggerated version often shared, because while it is true that he faced severe health issues and financial difficulties later in life, the claim that he died homeless is not accurate, and understanding his journey requires stepping beyond sensational phrasing to see the full arc of a life that combines success, suffering, and quiet perseverance, beginning with his rise to fame as the original Darren Stevens on the hit television show Bewitched, where his natural charm and expressive acting made him a beloved figure and a key part of the show's early success. Yet even during those peak years, he was living with the lasting effects of a serious back injury he had suffered while filming They Came to Cordera, when a heavy piece of equipment caused damage to his spine that would never fully heal, leading to chronic and increasingly debilitating pain that followed him throughout his career. And as the physical demands of acting continued, particularly with the demanding schedule of a popular television series, his condition worsened to the point where continuing became nearly impossible, forcing him to rely on strong pain medication just to function, which in turn created additional struggles, including dependency and further complications that impacted both his health and professional stability. And eventually, he had to leave Bewitched, a decision that marked a turning point in his life, as the loss of that role significantly reduced his opportunities in Hollywood, leading to a period where work became scarce and financial strain began to grow. And while he did experience hardship and lived a much more modest life than fans might expect from a former television star, it is important to recognize that he was not abandoned or living on the streets, as he remained connected to family and later became involved in community efforts, including work aimed at helping others facing difficult circumstances, reflecting a sense of compassion and purpose that often goes unmentioned in simplified retellings of his life. And as time went on, his health continued to decline, with additional complications such as emphysema further limiting his mobility and independence, making everyday tasks increasingly difficult and reinforcing the quiet, challenging nature of his later years. Yet through it all, he maintained a level of dignity and resilience, choosing not to define himself solely by his struggles but by the life he had lived and the work he had done. And when he passed away in 1992 due to complications from emphysema, it marked the end of a journey that was undeniably difficult but not accurately described by the idea of homelessness. And what truly makes his story heartbreaking is not an exaggerated image, but the reality of a talented actor whose career was cut short by injury and who spent decades dealing with pain that most audiences never saw, while still being remembered for the warmth and humor he brought to his performances. And in that sense, his legacy is not one of sensational tragedy but of endurance, highlighting how fame does not shield a person from hardship, and how the most meaningful understanding of someone's life often comes from acknowledging both their achievements and the challenges they faced with quiet strength.